Democratic Party as we head into the all-important midterm elections. Americans now giving their lowest approval rating yet for President Obama's handling of the economy. According to a new AP poll, only 41% say they approve of how he's doing. This is on the economy. Richard Socarides is a Democratic strategist and former special assistant to President Clinton. Great to see you today.
Great to see you.
All right, the other side of that poll, the number looks even worse. 56% say they disapprove of how the president's handling the economy. He's had about 18 months. It's not a lot of time. He's going to take all the blame, though, probably at the polls this fall.
The numbers are very bad, and as I was saying to you just before we went on, I was in Washington yesterday talking to a number of senior Democratic strategists, and they are recognizing that it looks pretty bleak. I mean, the president's options are limited. He has to do what I think he did today at that sort of garden town hall, and that is remind people that he inherited the worst economic situation since the Great Depression, that we're not going to come back from that overnight, that he's doing everything he can, that every morning he wakes up and tries to come up with the best ideas he can. And the people have to ask themselves, do you believe that the people the president has put in charge are the best people, the smartest people to fix this problem? Or, as the president would say, do you want to hand the problem back to the people whose only economic idea is a tax cut for the rich?
Okay, well, those are definitely the talking points on that side. I want to point out something else that showed up in this poll. 61% say that the economy has stayed the same or gotten worse under President Obama. So although we know they like to point back to the Bush administration and what they inherited, it sounds like at least the perception out there is that things have, not gotten better under the policies.
I think the reality there is that things have not gotten worse, but in this kind of situation when things don't get better because the situation has stayed the same for so long, you think it's gotten worse. But most economists agree that had the president not taken the dramatic action that he took with the stimulus, that things would have been much, much worse, and that we probably would have been headed for a depression. And you saw about 10 days ago there was that economic report out that said pretty clearly that the mainstream economists agree that had the president not taken the dramatic action he did, that things would be a lot worse. But you can see how for real people talked to in this poll, people who are unemployed, that things seem like they've gotten worse because the situation hasn't gotten better for a long period of time.
Yeah, and the numbers prove in the poll that this is one of the foremost things on people's minds.
The whole election is going to be about this, right?
Yeah, 91% say that the economy was the top problem. They think it's the top problem. And it's interesting because months ago when health care was coming out and there was such a fight about how popular or unpopular it was, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, I remember, stepped up and said, hey, people aren't going to be talking about health care in the fall. It's all about jobs and the economy, right. And that's where we win.
Well, I think that's probably why you see these Democrats starting to be so grim, and that is that they realize that the whole election is going to be about this, that nothing else matters. And I think they genuinely believe that by now the economy would be better, that things would start to get better. And I think we may look back on this a year from now and say that the biggest mistake Obama made in his first 2 years in office was that he didn't change course dramatically enough. He has tried to take action on the economy, but the truth is he's stayed with the same people who ran the economy during the Clinton years, the same Democrats that ran the economy, that were in charge of the economy the last time we had a Democratic president, are now pretty much in charge of it now. The same people, the same big thinkers. I mean, I think, in retrospect, you could have said maybe the better course would have been to brought about more dramatic change and brought new people in. I'm not sure that we have the smartest people on it right now.
All right, well, another number, this one relatively good for him because we're looking at his overall job performance and how people feel about him. That hasn't moved. Still 49% approve, 50% disapprove, but he's doing much better overall on just his overall performance than he is on just the economic issues. So can his personality, can his charisma, can some of his other accomplishments help Democrats pull this out?
Well, people still like him. That's the one thing he's got going for him. He's a great campaigner. It's going to be very difficult, though, when in this November, when his name is not on the ballot. I mean, I think in a presidential election, that will help him. The fact that he's still personally popular, that people still think he cares, that people still think that he's, doing everything he can. And, unless they can come up with someone that people like better, he's probably going to be reelected. But in these midterms, when his name is not on the ballot, when you have these individual congressional elections, it's probably not going to be much help, his own personal popularity.
Yeah, when the economy is doing this badly, does it matter who the party in power is? I mean, when people are sitting at home wondering how they're going to pay their light bills and their mortgages and feed their kids, are they just going to lash out whoever is controlling in Washington?
Well, and who's controlling? I mean, the Democrats are in charge, have both houses of Congress and have the executive branch. And even though the Republicans, the generic Republican numbers are worse than the generic Democratic numbers for members of Congress, it's hard to believe that the electorate won't take this out on the Democrats who are in power. I mean, right now, it's looking bad for the Democrats. And it's also looking worse than it's been looking. I mean, you know, you could always say we're a long time away, that 10 weeks is a lifetime in politics, that as soon as you get after Labor Day, you know, real activists are going to start to focus on this. But right now, it is not looking good. The
news is not good from inside. All right, Richard Socarides, great to see you today.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in. Well, it was the only house of worship actually destroyed on 9/11, a tiny church in the